My name is Leiska Evanson, and what we're doing in a quick whirlwind session is going through building a 3.0, an open offline office. So since at least 2005, the tech industry has been pushing us to go to the cloud, and we've responded. We've done that. Many companies are using a stack that looks a lot like this to handle all the back-end things that you usually don't want to handle. Accounting, payroll, collaboration, all the things that you don't want to have to think too much about. And cloud has been great. But there are a couple of things it doesn't address for a number of people in the world, such as lack of access to stable internet, lack of access to power, consistent, reliable power. The payment options. Many times cloud options require a credit card, and there are a lot of people around the world that do not have a Visa. They do not have a MasterCard. And there are very few alternate options for them to pay for cloud services. There is still a strong perception of inadequate security and inadequate privacy with cloud setups. If you don't want things shared, don't put it on the internet. It's something that's been drilled in people's heads for quite some time. And then there's also a sense of a lack of control. When things happen to your cloud server that's thousands of miles away from you, you can't just do things to get that access. You can't control what's happening. And these are concerns for people who would prefer something more local, who need flexibility for their office and how they use it, and more importantly, how they pay for it and how they customize and control it. The sort of businesses that I have dealt with that look at an open offline office, a lot of them are minimally external facing businesses. They mainly sell to wholesales. They don't interact with the public that much. So a lot of farmers. They're micro or small businesses, a number of artisans, or they're what I call intimate businesses. They deal with things that they want to make sure no one else gets access to. Small doctors, rural doctors, a local accountant, or a local lawyer, local small lawyer. So we say we want to build an open offline office for these people, but we need a couple of tools. We need, I would say primarily, reading comprehension skills, because you're going to spend a lot of time on forums and reading manuals to get these things to work. Of course, all around IT skills, networking, hardware, you need to be able to put together or repair basic repairs to a computer and setting up a home network. In some cases, a nice LAN network, depending on clients' needs, because sometimes they have devices they need to connect, but they just don't need to get on the internet. And, we need patience. We're starting at 4.3 for some of these people, and it takes time to get them up and running. And often these people will have the patience once they know in the end that they get the control and the flexibility that they want. Basic things you will need still. You need some internet access. It may not need to be consistent, but you need a way to get some internet access to do these setups. Things you should always consider: backup power, whether it's a UPS or some sort of renewable energy setup that can be used. I am based in Barbados, so fortunately solar is a consideration for my clients. And things to consider is if you can't get access to where you are there places where you can share access with others? Are there incubators that you can apply to? Are there government supported or otherwise supported business working places, co-hosting spaces that you can use, where you can then set these things up or get them set up and then take them offline? Another consideration for some of these people is the cost of hardware and even getting some of this hardware. Depending on the persons, they either can't afford it, or if you have to import it, it's going to take really long and cost a lot more. So getting parts, getting networking gear, even getting things for repairs of all-in-one systems and laptops. All of these things I have found ways around by going to companies who are sometimes, they've got depreciated equipment and they need to get it off their hands, and they are willing to sell it either very cheaply or even give it away in some cases, and depending on what your business does. There's also government agencies, auctions, estate sales, thrift shops, even the odd garage sale. But the one thing that I would say you do spend some cash on: hard drives. Hard drives are a pain to repair, and it's what everything you're going to do is going to reside on. So sometimes it's just best to splurge what little money you have on getting a good hard drive. And this broken laptop, this is A-OK. For the sort of people I'm talking about, laptops actually solve a lot of problems because they come with batteries, which is your backup power. They can often work with a lot of small, more portable solar chargers. And again, like I said, I'm in Barbados, so that's very helpful. A broken screen is not a problem. Most of them have a video out, so you can attach it to a monitor and you've got yourself what amounts to a nice little desktop system in some cases. And they often have the benefit of having Ethernet, Wi-Fi, and in some laptops, you can then put in mobile data solutions. So you can put in a SIM card, and we fortunately have 4G in a number of parts of Barbados, so that's helpful when sometimes nothing else can work because you just can't run a cable or fiber. All right, so you've gotten your hardware. What do you do next? Well, next we're going into repair and assembly. So this is where your hardware skills are going to come in. You're fixing and assembling the PCs. Sometimes it might even be a network attached storage unit, which I've seen some people use. And you're doing any basic networking if you have the ability to do that networking or you need it. And one of the tools that I have used is Direct's Boot and Nuke. Now, I know I said you should splurge on hard drives, but the reality is sometimes there's just no money for it, especially for people starting out these very small businesses. So Direct's Boot and Nuke is great if you have an older hard drive and you want to clean it off. This open source project has been around for a long time, and it is one of the best things to use. Now, I don't think the open source non-enterprise version handles solid state drives. But in most cases, if you're going to be using older hardware, you're probably getting a normal hard disk drive. Step 2, installing the operating system. So now we're looking at Ubuntu Linux, which I have found has been the most comfortable for people to use after setup. And you've got desktop and server options. You can download this just like DBAN that I spoke about before. What you would do is you put these on a USB or burn it to a CD depending on the age of the hardware that you're using, and plug them in, boot up the hardware, and install from there, running DBAN and then installing Ubuntu. Now, you have the desktop and server versions, and for older hardware, you may only be able to use up to, I believe, version 18.04. In step 3, you're installing software. Now that you've got the computers up and running with the operating system on it and a nice clean hard drive, we are looking at 2 main packages, Libre Office and GnuCash. Both of these have been open source projects that have been long running, well supported, still well supported. I think it's the 10th anniversary of Libre Office actually. And they offer great interoperability with a lot of what already exists. So LibreOffice can handle most Microsoft Office documents that come across your way. GnuCash can handle QIF files and imports that you might, CSVs you might be importing from your bank account. The best thing about GnuCash though is that it does invoicing and billing. You can set up a basic invoice and billing through GnuCash, and check printing. Now, check printing might seem to be something that should be obsolete, but there's still a lot of places where a check offers you their best flexibility, and that's where GnuCash can help. Another little project that I have also used is Beancount, which is at beancount.github.io. It's managed by Martin Blaze, and it's a Python package, so you can install it with pip, or you can just do a git clone of the package. It also has a web interface called Fava. So this is the web interface, the example of the web interface that we're looking at. This creates a plain text general ledger. So you are saving your accounting information in a particular syntax, which is very easy to learn, and it's plain text. It's no heavy files or anything like that. And that's great when you're offline. You can just put it on there. The web interface, it starts up a little local web server, and you're just going to localhost and pulling up the web interface and using it that way if you don't want to edit your text files. And as you can see, it provides a lot of ways for you to look at your financial information, and it allows customization. So one of the things with cloud items is that they still have a lot of templates they go by, and it can be hard to customize for certain industries, especially outside of the normal regions where cloud is used, with US, UK, Europe. So this allows people to customize their general ledgers as they need. And so you might say, okay, this is the basic home office setup for open source offline office complete. Except we kind of forgot about email, especially for those intimate businesses that I spoke about. Using the normal Gmail package, using even Microsoft email, that doesn't work for them because you don't want anything at all really reading it. But email is also really hard to set up. We're going into a black hole here. Just aside from the amount of storage that email usually requires, we're looking at security. We're looking at networking now, because you are talking about how to set up your network to avoid breaks in the internet. In my case, in Barbados, we are an island, so we have two off-island ways to the general internet. But at any point in time, a ship can come along or an earthquake can happen, and those two undersea cables are cut. And we will only have a network on island, an on-island WAN, wide area network. You're dealing with, in some cases, user management. If it's not just you, maybe you have a partner, maybe you have a few more people, now you've got to deal with user management. And I can tell you right now, the package that I'm going to suggest, we will not be using it as intended. It has a specific use, but we will not be using it as intended. But it's still really great if you are willing to take that time. And so that package, which sets up your mail server, web server, file server, collaboration with security, is a terrific package done by Joshua Tauberer, who is also one of the founders and co-creators of govtrack.us. This package is mailinabox.email. So it installs all these things. Nextcloud, which is your file server, collaboration server, your calendar, your contact management. Nginx, so you have a basic web server. Roundcube, so you can just pull up your web. You don't need to have a client. You can just use your web browser to get to your email. Postfix, again, that's a mail server. Let's Encrypt. It also installs a few other things. I think it includes fail to ban as well. And all it is a bash script. So you're just typing in one line, it's a bash script, and it works. Now, caveat, this is Ubuntu specific right now. So, and I think it's again up to 18.0.
Hi, Leiska. Sorry for interrupting. You have like your 1 minute over time. So if you could like just round up in 1 minute, that would be very great.
Well, I'm about to finish up. So if I'm 1 minute over,
okay, thank you very much.
So,
thank you.
So and that is the advanced home office completed. Because now you have your Libre Office, GnuCash, or Beancount, and you have your email set up. So now you're complete, right? Well, not quite. And I'll tell you why. Because just as Ari said in her talk before, you've got to look for ways to give back to the open source community. We're using these products every day. We have a responsibility to give back, whether it's by giving a 10-minute talk on some iffy connections on what you use and why, or helping with code, or just giving feedback to the developers so they can make it better. That's it. So